Today's drink is a Mai Tai Mocktail. So I use freshly squeezed oranges. You could also use regular orange juice, that's totally fine as well. I also use pineapple juice and a smidge of lime juice, and I also use this syrup to create that nice sunset-y vibe. I don't know how to pronounce it to save my life, so I will have it written in the description box what syrup I used. So I had it poured down with the spoon, the back of the spoon, and then it poured down slowly, so that way it created this nice effect. And I garnished it with an orange and a pineapple. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Stephanie, and here we talk about books, wellness, pretty much anything I feel like talking about at the moment. And this segment is going to be drinks and books with me. The book we are talking about today is the Unhoneymooners, featuring today's drink. It is a Mai Tai Mocktail. So sit back, have a drink with me, and let's talk about the Unhoneymooners. Let's jump right into the book description. I'm so excited because I'm reading a physical one instead of one from a Kindle like I normally do. So let's get right to it. Olive Torres is used to being the unlucky twin. From inexplicable mishaps to a recent layoff, her life seems to be almost comically jinxed. By contrast, her sister Ami is an eternal champion. She even managed to finance her entire wedding by winning a slew of contests. Unfortunately for Olive, the only thing worse than constant bad luck is having to spend the wedding day with the best man, parentheses, and her nemesis, Ethan Thomas. Olive braces herself for wedding hell, determined to put on a brave face, but when the entire wedding gets food poisoning, the only people who aren't affected are Olive and Ethan. Suddenly, there's a free honeymoon up for grabs, and Olive will be damned if Ethan gets to enjoy paradise solo. Agreeing to a temporary truce, the pair head for Maui. After all, 10 days of bliss are worth having to assume the role of loving newlyweds, right? But the weird thing is, Olive doesn't mind playing pretend. In fact, the more she pretends to be the luckiest woman alive, the more it feels like she might be. Let's go! Since I don't have the Kindle version to tell me how long the average reading time is for this book, I decided to Google it, and it says that it takes 6 hours and 56 minutes to read this book. So it took me maybe a week, my average time, just being that, wife. So it doesn't take that long to read, and it's actually a very easy read. The font isn't like super tiny, but it's not like humongously big that, you'll just fly by it. I can tell you that each chapter is a little long, but understandable why it was long. So this is the colorized version of the book cover and the size of the book as well. I will have the black and white version cover of this just to be fair, since usually when I'm on the Kindle I'm showing a colorized version, so why not show the black and white version? Really festive, really cool. I really enjoyed the vibe of this cover. It really matched well with the story. This book follows two characters, Olive and Ethan, on their 10-day trip in Hawaii. And I gotta say, it was very interesting. I can tell you that there were moments that I just felt like I could skip, but for the most part, overall, it was a pretty fun book. It was very much on the rom-com side of things, so if you're looking for something funny and enemies to lovers trope, this is definitely the book for you. It was interesting. For a moment, I kid you not, I did feel like I was in Hawaii. I don't know what about it gave me the vibe, given that I live in New York City, but it was definitely fun. My best friend actually recommended me this book. That's his book. It's not even mine, it's his. So he told me to read the book and review it, and here we are today. It's a very adorable book. Were there moments that I feel like there were moments that I wasn't a fan of Olive, but at the end of the day, it was understandable. She goes through a whole lot of unlucky situations, but then Ethan, and I think somebody else tells her that, maybe it's not that you're unlucky, it's just, things happen. And at the end of the day, things happen for a reason. And all the things that have happened to her that led her to this point, you know, led her to Ethan. And I mean, I wouldn't say she's unlucky. Would you? I just feel like this gave her character development. This gave her the plot that she needed to end up where she ended up by the end of the book. And I'm not just talking about what happened right during the trip and right before the trip or anything. I mean, like, they discussed a little bit of her childhood and how she ends up in a skill crane thing or something, and she's like recorded, the video goes viral and everything, like it's still on YouTube apparently. And from that until everything else, I just feel like it was a good thing that it all happened to her, because it made her life more interesting in a way. Ethan at one point did describe his relationship with his ex-fiance where, well, I don't even know if you'd call her that now that I think about it. Anyway, ex-girlfriend or something. So he brought up how their relationship was more like they can't argue, they can't have fights, they can't disagree on anything. It has to be all sunshine and rainbows and everything just has to go the right way. And he didn't like that, you know, but he still tried to be with her and even changed himself for her to fit who she wanted him to be. And then in the end, you know, he proposed and she never said yes, and then she left. You know, it sucks. I feel like the characters were very well-rounded, and the conflicts that they had with each other along with their own lives, I thought meshed really well. And the characters, the play out of everything, I really enjoyed. Another thing I have to point out is that there is a little bit of spice in the book, but it's not like extreme level spice like some of Lucy Score's books, for example. It's very, very mild spice. Like, I'm talking like anybody could eat up this spice. And I'm saying, like, even if you're maybe in your late teens, you could still read this book. It should be fine, because there's not too much detail when it comes down to that stuff. Not as much as like other books have. So that's another thing I should point out. As far as rating is concerned, I do rate this between 3.8, 4 stars out of 5. It was a very fun read. It's fun. It takes place in Hawaii. I was able to imagine myself in Hawaii, and I felt like I was in summertime mode when it's still spring, but barely spring in New York right now. And it was really fun. But at the same time, it being an easy read, it wasn't as detailed as like other rom-com books I've read in the past. So it wasn't that there wasn't a lack of imagination, but there also wasn't like, it wasn't exceeding my expectations when it comes down to a rom-com. So it was pretty standard. So there is actually another trope that, along with the enemies to lovers, there's also the fake dating and the classic one bed trope. So we all know what's going to happen when there's only one bed and two people who can't stand each other or think they can't stand each other having to sleep in the same space. What do you think is going to happen? So if you're a fan of that, then this is definitely the book for you. Just some highlights that I gathered from the book. Things are easy, fun, and effortless. This isn't how new relationships are supposed to be. They're supposed to be stressful, exhausting, and uncertain. And I think this was a good point when it comes down to relationships, and especially new ones, because I feel like a lot of the time we tend to think that everything's supposed to be perfect and peachy and sunshine and rainbows in relationships. But at the end of the day, the real relationship really begins when you're going through like certain things that aren't exactly, you know, sunshine and rainbows. I feel like real relationships, there are arguments to be had, there are disagreements to be had. It's okay to not like the same things. It's okay to not want to do the same things together. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it was a very interesting point. It should be not like exhausting to the point where you want to like end the relationship or anything, but just like, it should be a mix of like happiness and banter and stuff like that. Another highlight that I want to point out, because this honestly relates to me personally. I feel like once I started having my own place, this is This is me. My couch has never looked so inviting. My television is way better than the one we had in the suite. My bed is fluffy and clean, and I can't wait until it's dark enough to justify taking a running leap into my pillows. I am a homebody through and through, and there's nothing like being home. And if there's one thing I could really tell you is that as someone who now has their own space, that's me. I've become a homebody. And I was like, yeah, that checks out. That sounds about right. And that concludes this short book talk. This is just a fun, quick read that has no sequel or prequel. It's beginning to end. It's pretty chill. And I actually really enjoyed the epilogue because it gives you insight on what happens after everything unravels. So I thought that was a pretty cute way to end the book. Now, would I say this is a wonderful friend recommendation? Yes, I'm really happy that my best friend recommended me this book and lent me his copy. I will be returning it as soon as possible now since I'm finished. I had a lot of fun reading it. I had very giggly moments, and I had moments where I was like, oh my gosh. It was smiles all around, really. I had maybe some moments where I was like, maybe I don't have to read this part, but all in all, really cute book. I have to go back to my Kindle now after this. I have several books that I have to get off the bookshelf from there, and stay tuned for that. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great day, a great evening, and a fantastic week, and I will catch you guys later.